everybody. Mr. Covey here, and the point of this video is just to go over some of the frequently missed questions from the practice test. Okay, so I kind of looked back and saw what questions a lot of people were missing, and these 6 questions were the ones that people missed a lot. Some of these are kind of like tricky questions that I wouldn't really expect you to be able to do perfectly, and some of them are like, you better be able to do this. Okay, so I'm going to draw your attention to which ones are which. But try and follow along as we go through this. Cool? Okay, so first question. You 100% must be able to do a question like this. Find the first 5 terms of the sequence defined over the natural numbers with the explicit blah, 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 blah. We'll come back to that. Boom. You have a rule. Okay? You're trying to write the first 5 terms. If they give you the rule, how do you find the first term? You plug in 1. 3 to the first minus 1. 3 to the first is 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. Second term is 3 squared minus 1. It's 8. Third term is 3 cubed minus 1. It's 27 or 26. Excuse me. This is your answer. Okay. We didn't use this rule explicit, so don't worry about that word. And all they're saying is the sequence is defined over the natural numbers, meaning if you plug in 1, you get the first term, you plug in 2, you get the second term, plug in. That's all they're saying. Okay, so we have a rule. How do you find the terms? Plug them in. Okay, you guys know that. Cool. It's kind of surprised that one wasn't missed, but anyway, some of these other ones are trickier. So this question said, which of these 3 terms are arithmetic? I know why you guys got tripped up. It was this one. And this was a little weird. We haven't looked at ones like this. But let's think about what arithmetic means. Okay, so first off, arithmetic means there's a common difference. You're adding the same thing every time. In this one, are you adding the same thing every time? Yeah, you're adding 2. This is totally arithmetic. In this one, are you adding the same thing every time? No, that's not arithmetic. In this one, if you're looking at it, you're like, I don't know what I'm adding. It's getting confusing. Remember to figure out what you're adding to go between terms. You can always subtract. Okay, so if you take the second term as a plus 2 and you subtract the first term, what's a plus 2 minus a? That's just 2. So what are you adding to get to a plus 2? Well, you're adding 2, and that makes sense. What are you adding from a plus 2 to a plus 4? Well, let's do a plus 4 minus a plus 2, 2. And that makes sense. How do you get from a plus 2 to a plus 4? You add 2. How do you get from a plus 4 to a plus 6? You add 2. How do you get from a plus 6 to a plus 8? This is totally arithmetic. The common difference is 2. I know the letters threw you off, the variables. I wouldn't worry too much about that, but make sure you know this idea. Okay, you subtract terms to get the common difference. Okay. Which is why you guys got this question wrong. Again, this is a very, very, very important question. It says, which of these is geometric? Okay, again, geometric means you're multiplying by the same thing every time. If you're unsure, how do you check what you're multiplying by? By dividing in the other direction. So like, what do you multiply 16 by to get negative 12? I don't know. Well, negative 12 divided by 16, you can just type that in your calculator, negative 0.75. So that's what you're multiplying there. Let's see if you do 9 divided by negative 12. Oh, you also get negative 0.75. So you're multiplying by negative 0.75 there. Negative 6 divided by negative 9, negative 0.75. This one is geometric. Okay, you're multiplying by negative 0.75 every time. Use division to help you figure out what you're multiplying by. Likewise, if you look at this one and you do 4 divided by 1, you get 4. If you do 9 divided by 4, you get 2.25. This is definitely not geometric. You're not multiplying by the same thing over and over. This one, I hope you can look at this one and see that this is arithmetic. You're adding 12 over time. It's not geometric. This last one, tricky. Again, use this division. What's 2/3 divided by 1/2? You can throw that right in your calculator. Although you should be able to do it by hand, but we'll just toss it right in our calculator. You get 4/3, 1.33. So to get from 1/2 to 2/3, you multiply by 1.33. Let's see if to get from 2/3 to 3/4, you multiply by the same thing. Well, how do we do that? We do division. Let's do 3/4 divided by 2/3. Type in your calculator. You get 1.125. Huh. Well, this isn't geometric. To get from the first term to the second term, you multiply 1.3. To get from the second term to the third term, you multiply 1.1. That's not geometric. Okay? Use that division to help you. Okay? How do you tell what you multiply by? You divide in the other direction. Okay, so our answer would just be that first one. Okay. Super tricky question. super tricky. Again, I think the variables kind of threw you off, but the idea is there. How do you tell what a common ratio is? We just did this in the last question. How do you find a common ratio? How do you figure out what you're multiplying this by to get this by? You divide in the other direction. So let's do -3 over 32 a cubed b to the 4th. And notice I'm going to write it with like this stuff in the numerator. Yeah, check. Divided by, I'm going to divide it by the term before. Okay, and again, the real good way to write this is to put that stuff in the numerator, and then 64 is the only thing down there. Oh, it's a fraction divided by a fraction? I can't type this in my calculator because of the variables, but I know how to compute this. We've talked about this a lot. Okay, you keep the top the same, you form the reciprocal of the denominator, you guys know this, okay? And then this is just relatively straightforward to simplify, I hope. Okay, so we got an a cubed on top and an a to the 5th on bottom. That leaves us with a squared on the bottom. We have a b to the 4th on top. We have a b cubed on bottom. That leaves us with a b on top. We have a 64 and a 32. Those cancel and leave us with a 2 on top. -3 times 2 is -6. -6b over a squared is our common ratio. Again, I know this algebra kind of might have came out of nowhere in a sense, but the idea is there. How do you take a term and the next term and figure out the common ratio? You do the second one divided by the first one. And this is algebra you guys know how to do. Question 6. You need to be able to do something like this. This is the last thing that we talked about right before you took this practice test. So I'm not surprised a lot of you guys got it wrong. It says, what is the common ratio of a geometric sequence whose first term is 27 and fourth term is 64? You're like, I can't do what I did here and here. Why not? Because they don't tell you 2 terms right in a row. So this is kind of a weird situation. Remember when they tell you terms that are like spaced out like this, we need to use this slots idea. Okay, it's really going to help us visualize it. The first term is 27. Second term, oh. Third term, oh. Fourth term, 64. Now remember, this is geometric. What does geometric mean? It means you're multiplying by r every time. So I'm going to do times r, times r, times r to get 64. This picture is going to help me remember my equation. My equation says 27 times r times r times r equals 64. This is an equation you guys know how to solve. 27r cubed equals 64. Divide both sides by 27. 64 over 27. How do you get r by itself? You cube root both sides. How do you cube root a fraction? We've talked about this. You cube root the top and cube root the bottom. So it's just cube root of 64 over cube root of 27. What's the cube root of 64? What times what is 64? 4 times 4 times 4. What's the cube root of 27? What times what is 27? 3 times 3 times 3. Your common ratio is 4/3. Okay. Last question here I wanted to go over, and I'm not sure why you guys got this one wrong. Maybe it was just because it was kind of like confusing what it was asking. But the nice part about this one is they give you the formulas again. So they're saying, hey, think about the 7th term in the sequence with this formula. I can figure out the seventh term. I'm just going to plug in 7. 4 minus 3 times 7, it's 4 minus 21, it's negative 17. Okay, I'm thinking about negative 17. And then they want me to think about the 7th term in this geometric sequence. Oh, it's kind of annoying. They don't give me the formula, but I can write the formula. It's geometric, so the formula is going to look like this. I can write out this formula real quick. What's the first term? Negative 1. What's the common ratio? What am I multiplying by every here? Time every here? Every time here. Come on. Negative 3. So here's my formula. What's the 7th term? Toss in 7. Negative 1 times negative 3 to the 7 minus 1. 7 minus 1 is 6. Negative 3 to the 6. Make sure you put parentheses to 729. What's negative 1 times 729? Negative 729. Okay. So it wants me to think about these two numbers and compare them. Okay. Negative 17, negative 729. The quantity in column A is greater than the quantity in column, yeah. A is bigger than B. B is negative 729. A is negative 17. So this is our answer. A is bigger than B. Okay. All right. Make sure you're reviewing for your test and doing all the practice that we have. Come to my office hours if you have questions about stuff. I'm here to help you guys. It is important that you understand how to do this stuff. Cool. Thanks for watching, guys.